Hi everyone. The purpose of this video is to help you to structure your research outcome. Now, the difficulty of this is that every outcome is different, and so there isn't one simple template or structure that I can provide you with. But I'll give you a couple of examples and hopefully that'll help you out. The reason that every structure and every outcome is different is because every research question is different. And the advice from SACE is here that the research outcome is the resolution of a research question. So that kind of means it's like a way of answering or resolving or giving a response to your research question. Now, that question might be, what's the best way to make a skate video? And so part of the resolution of that is to produce a skate video showing the skills that you've learned on that. Or it might be something that's more traditional that may require a report. It might be about making a piece of furniture. So the outcome is so varied that it's really hard to provide a structure, but the key things to bear in mind that the form and language of the outcome, as it says here, should be appropriate to the intended audience. So you have to think about who you are presenting this to and who would like to see a resolution of that particular question that you have. So thinking about your audience and formatting it based for them is a key part of it. The other key part, of course, is around the assessment. Are you hitting performance standards against assessment type synthesis for S1, 2, and S3? So let's have a look at what that would look like. So if the outcome type was a report, we know that the folio, which is worth 30%, you've done a whole lot of research into your particular question. And from that, you should be able to draw together some information that you present in your report as key findings. The other thing that's really important then is not just drawing together that information, but making sure it's backed up through a wide range of sources, primary and secondary, different perspectives. And that's the supporting evidence. So they're really the two key pillars of what we have here. In terms of the language of the performance standards, bringing together that information to make key findings is called synthesis. And then backing those findings up with evidence is called substantiation. And so the performance standards are based on that, plus your ability to clearly express those ideas. So let's see what that looks like in a report. So a recommended structure, perhaps, for your report would be to have an introduction where you state and explain your research question, explain background information, justify why that research is important, and outline the key findings. The bulk of your outcome would then be in the main body to have paragraphs which go into those key findings, discuss each of the key findings of your research, and that provides you evidence for S1, synthesis of knowledge, skills, and ideas. You then back up that up with supporting evidence from multiple sources, which gives you evidence against S2, substantiation of key findings relevant to the research outcome. And then, like I said, S3 is expression of ideas, and that happens throughout. You would then summarize that in some sort of conclusion and possibly make some recommendations. So for a report style outcome, that's the kind of structure we'd be looking for. And here in this main body is where you're providing lots of evidence for synthesis of ideas from lots of different sources backed up by reference to those sources. For the product type of outcome, your research is then driving you to make some sort of physical or digital product by applying skills that you've learned in your research, but you still need to provide some supporting evidence. This is because the physical or digital product gives evidence of synthesis and some sort of ideas that you brought together or skills that you brought together in order to make that product. But it's also really useful to provide some written substantiation, some supporting evidence that can back that up. So that might look a little bit like this. You've got a physical product that provides evidence of application of knowledge and skills. So that helps you show evidence of S1. But you'd need to have some sort of supporting evidence. Obviously not as much as a full report, but definitely evidence there that supports this. So you've got a combination of that physical product and then a written supporting evidence document, which will in the same way state and explain your research question and explain some background information. For this one, the main body would be where you discuss the skills that you developed in terms of making or producing that product in some way. Provide examples of how you applied those skills in your product by making reference to features of that product, and then provide evidence from multiple sources about why each skill was needed. So you did some research and went, I need to know how to do this in order to make my product successful, and then what sources you used to develop that skill, how you found out how to do that, And again, that's about substantiation of your key findings. Here, the term key findings is really about the main skills that you used and how you went about producing your product. So providing evidence around that. And again, you still need to show clear expression of ideas. And expression of ideas can happen through the product itself, as well as the report. Finally, for my class, there's a page in our OneNote under the outcome resources where there's some additional stuff for understanding the rubric, what sort of things we'd be looking for in S1, S2, and S3. And at the bottom of that, there's a video also from SACE explaining some of the things that might be used there as well. So hopefully this gives you some resources to structure your outcome and work out what you need to put in it in order to hit those performance standards.